you tired of all the uneducated noise you're getting from the droves of YOLO meme coin peddling douchebag gurus out there trying to use you as their exit liquidity? Would you rather learn a competent university-level set of skills that will guide you in managing and investing for the rest of your life? Join us 3 days a week at Digital Investor. Develop your knowledge of game theory, cognitive bias, macroeconomics, monetary theory, investment theory, psychology of the crowds, and more. For more info on Digital Investor and how it can help you, reach out at nickblacknext.com.
All right. I think we got through all those. We got through them all. All right. Hello. 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 Let's see. What is going on? Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. So Twin, the TGE launch is today. So that's good. At least that's done. Well, at least has started. And I would expect a bunch of selling. First, you got the Launchpad people that bought for, I don't know, 7 cents or something like that. They're going to sell because they got no buy-in. They don't give a shit. Then you're going to have the group over at Cryptopia. They're getting their tokens. They, unlike us, they did not agree to lock their tokens up because they don't really give a shit about the Twin project. So they're going to dump probably a considerable amount. I don't think anybody there even cares to build a Twin, period. And the Twin team will start rolling out all sorts of stuff about what it takes to build the Twin, how you can build your vault, how you can claim your Twin ID, which the first group to claim Twin IDs are those with the N-Twin token. So within the next 30 days, you'll be at the front of the line before anybody on any of these DEX purchases, before anybody on any of these launch pads, before anybody in the Singularity Net community. People within Twin will get to claim their Twin IDs first. No questions asked. You're at the front of the line. Period. Full stop. So that's cool. Well, then that's good, Munga. Good for you. But that's not the norm. The norm is that most people dump. And that's good. You would rather have, here's 2 scenarios I'll give you. Let's say the price goes from $1 down to 10 cents. Or it goes from 10 cents to 20 cents. Or if it just goes from $1 down to 30 cents. Or from 10 cents up to 30 cents. Which scenario would you rather have? Right? You don't want the big, I mean, obviously the first few trades, there's going to be all sorts of crazy sloppiness. Munga in the house. Yeah, there's going to be all sorts of sloppiness in the very beginning. You don't care about that. You got to get past, I mean, usually takes about a week and a half to 2 weeks of trading. Exactly. Frank nails it. Psychologically and for the fitness and health of the project, 10 cents to 30 cents, way better. Even it's way better than $1 to 30 cents, right? Yeah, I know the price is the same, but it's the psychology of that slow meltdown. So you always take whatever you see in the very beginning. There you go. Whatever you see in the very beginning, and you just erase it from your mind because it doesn't matter. Some of it's spam bots, some of it's early investors. It is what it is. But know this, the early investors from Node Market, meaning the digital private clients and those people that got in early on the Twin investment, locked up our tokens for 2 years. So there you go. So you don't have to worry about getting shat on. You don't have to get shat on, which is past tense. That means you've already been essed on. Shat, you can say. William Shatner. What? Is that his name? Is that what he did in past tense? We don't know. Anyway, so I'm fine with it. I really don't mind what happens right now for about the next week to 10 days. This doesn't matter. You need to see things stabilize. Remember, there were no centralized exchange launch part of this. It was simply a DEX launch. Let me get that for you, Neil. It is in both of the chats. If you guys are in the digital investor chat, it's in both. Let's see. Let me go and find it. Oh God, there's so many chat. Let me go to the private client chat. It's on Dex Tools, by the way. I could post that link as well. Maybe I should do that. Let's click here. Let's go here. This is where it is. So you see all that spammy behavior in the beginning. None of that really matters. All this kind of nonsense. Just let people get in or out. It's odd. You're seeing people now. My guess is the people that would be selling here now at this range are people that got the token early on, because it wouldn't make any sense to sell a token you got for 6 cents for 7 cents. I mean, unless then again, like these are tiny trades, like less than $2,000, $200, $500, 500. These are tiny trades, Tiny Tim trades. But anyway, let me get you the token contract address. We have it in here. I've been banging around with it all morning. Well, it's in the chat. So if you go into the chat, you'll find it. Scrolling through the chat's not the most efficient use of time, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Anyway, let me get back here. Let me get back to the goods. So anyway, it is what it is. We will see what the day brings. Let me see if I can get a little higher. We can keep that in the background. Maybe that looks a little bit better. Anyway, bam. Oh, there you go. Yay. So there we go. Okay. At this point, I'm not a fan of this type of launch. I much prefer the exchanges. Why? Why do you prefer the exchanges? So you got to qualify that. You don't like this type of launch. You don't like launches on Web3 wallets, like DEX launches. Because why? Because it doesn't have a spammy opening with a bunch of people that don't give a shit about the project. You don't like that. Like what part don't you like? That number goes straight up and then straight down and completely crashes, like all these listings on Binance. You don't like that part? Like, I guess I'm curious which part you don't like. It will be on Node Market. Brandon will be testing and stuff like that. We're not just going to launch something. He's going to make sure it's not broken contract and all that. So when he feels like it's safe to launch it on Node Market, it'll be on Node Market. But remember, Node Market is OTC. It's not an exchange. There's no custody. We don't hold tokens on Node Market. So keep that in mind. Centralized exchange launches don't mean anything anymore unless you're just trying to flip the token. If you're trying to have a big day one flip, that's the only time it matters. It makes no difference. And nothing that you're doing, on a centralized exchange has anything to do with what you're doing in Web3. You guys realize that too, right? It's not your tokens. You don't own shit. I mean, this is the truth. Do you think you own anything on a centralized exchange? You're being really, be honest with yourself. You guys should know this. You don't own anything. You have a claim against it, like at a bank. You hand them the money, it's their money. It's not your money. Same with the trading account. You don't own any of this stuff. So if you give it to a centralized exchange, you trust, but you don't own. If it's in a Web3 wallet, you own it. It's yours. It's in your wallet that you have control over, unless you give your private keys or passphrase to some douchebag that's trying to steal your stuff. How do you pull up that chart for Twin? That's very simple. You will go to dextools. I mean, I could put the link. I wonder, here, let me just copy the whole link and put it in the chat. Maybe you can copy it from the chat and just put it in. That's literally the Dex Tools, where I pulled it right from Dex Tools. So what you can do is on Dex Tools, dextools.io, dextools.io, you can go in and there's a little area where you can enter, see where it says search pair by symbol, name, contract, or token. You would simply copy and paste the token contract address. I usually put a little star by it. I add it to my favorites. It's a favorite of mine. And there we go. So, yay. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Let's see, we can go by the 6 months. Nah, that's fine. It's a good time. That's a good time period. I wish I could spread that out. I'm sure I can. There we go. Scrolling downward does it. So it looks like more stuff's going on. Look at all this stuff that's going on. Look at me. Scroll. Oh, I'm making colorful charts, everyone. You're welcome. You're welcome for that. Bonanza of color I just gave you. I just bukkakied a bonanza of color. Anyway, so that's how you do it. Okay, so I think this is good. Remember that on all these launch pads, and I don't know what all the launch pads were, but I'm assuming they were going from around 6, 7, 7.5 cents, something like that. So it seems pretty fair that it would stabilize around here. A centralized exchange listing. Well, here's the other cool thing. For those of you that like centralized exchange listings, which I don't really care because this is a token that you would use to build a digital twin. It's not really a speculator's asset, although people will speculate. But as the demand for building twins becomes more and more, and people start building twins, they're going to be locking up tokens in vaults. There will also be pools, like reward pools for people that lock up their tokens and all that. That's all being built and tested right now. So those will be rolling out. What the Twin team elected to do was keep most of their kind of media and marketing firepower for after the launch. So you'll probably see a lot more news cycle coming, here moving forward about partnerships and agreements and all this kind of stuff. Also, when Twin, the company, is working, let's say they do a deal with the American Golf League, AGL. Let's say that was a thing. PGA, the PGA, that's a thing. And all of those players say, yeah, well, I'm going to build twins. My agent's going to help me build a twin. Okay, cool. You can talk to all those guys with the stupid green jackets that feel really self-important. Great. So I want to talk to this guy about my slice or whatever it is. Or I just want to talk to him about life in general. So they cut that deal. Let's say the PGA says, okay, cool. We want to buy enough twin tokens from you guys so that, or we want to buy enough points, twin points, whatever you want to call it, so that they can go over here and build their twins, or their agents can build their twins. This whole entire group at the PGA. Sweet. So they do a money deal, a transaction with the Twin team, the company. The company then goes and purchases those tokens from the market. See, so there's going to be, and I don't know what percentage it is, but there's going to be purchasing from the market in real time all the time. At least that's what I've been explained. Meaning there's always going to be a bias every time they sign a new deal or a corporate partnership, it's going to equal a certain amount of demand on the token because they'll be buying the token off the free market. They'll be pushing it over and they'll be locking it up to build their twins, and they'll be buying and they'll be locking up and buying and locking up. You see, that's kind of a one-way path. There's always going to be speculators spamming around the outside edges, the fringes. That's fine. You don't care. That's fine. It's healthy. It's volume, but it's a one-way token, kind of like the way Hypercycle is pretty much a one-way token. The HYPC token's one-way token. And by the way, Hypercycle, there is a fork coming. A fork is coming. So that's good because you will all get to participate in that. If you own Hypercycle tokens, you get the fork. You get a fork. Fork for you. Fork you, sir and ma'am, or whatever your pronouns are. Even if you're plural, which I think is bullshit, but whatever. So anyway, let's see. If I can trade some and get the balance for free or 10x, it's about making money with some of my tokens. It has nothing to do with the project. I'm a long-term holder. Well, it has everything to do with the project. It's infinitely everything to do with the project. Because if you don't know what you own, you shouldn't own it. And it's not like a long-term, God, this whole 10x thing, I got to shake that out of you guys. Everything you buy is not going to be a 10x. You guys get that, right? That should be kind of common sense. Everything you touch, think about how entitled that sounds. If I can just trade and get a 10x, if I can just get 1,000% return, that's all. Not a big deal, just 1,000% return. Come on, bro. Yeah, some of your assets every now and then, on rare occasions, are going to get a 10x. I definitely sell when I've got a 10x, but I don't expect that. I don't expect to get a 10x. What kind of weird expectation is that? This is not just to you or anyone specific. This is to everybody. You guys got to fucking wake up. You guys got to get a case of common sense. You know how hard it is in the world right now to find a job. Just imagine if you went into a job, an interview, and you're like, cool. Hey, boss, I just want to make sure that I get a 10x raise every year. What? Yeah, I just need a 10x raise every year, just 10x. Get the fuck out of my office. You realize that, right? He probably wouldn't be in an office. This would probably be down in the lobby because this is like the first interview. So, I mean, come on. Common sense. Expect to grow your portfolio if you do the work and do the research and roll up your arms, and luck is on your side. A little bit of luck. I mean, and I say that because we're all speculating. Let's not forget that either. We can call it whatever we want. We can put fancy terms to it. We can do the 5 T's. We can look for, these are just ways to narrow the range or scope of the things that we speculate on. Let's see, there's 162 people here. I want everyone to write, I am an informed speculator. I am an informed speculator. See if you guys can write that. It's class day. We're office hours. It's class. Be honest with yourself about it. I am an informed speculator. Quality. I don't know. We don't know about quality. We hope it's quality. We're just informed speculators. Let's see. What percentage of early investors do you think is this group? Oh, this group. What do you mean this group? Not the group selling right now, or the group that's selling right now on, like, what group? Treasures, give me tighten that up a little bit so I can answer it correctly. There we go. Kiro nailed it. I am an informed speculator. Munga, I am an informed. We all are. No, don't say gambler, Cisco. You're not a gambler. Gambling is, I guess, that's a wide brush. But you're probably right. But I would like to say that the difference between a gambler and speculator is, I think that for most people, a gamble, there's not a lot of information behind the decision. It's a or B or an A, B, C, or D. It's a guess. An informed speculator ideally is using as much market information as possible and some kind of analysis of the macro and microeconomic environment to make an informed speculation. I don't think that's as loose as gambling, but you're probably not that wrong. Hey, I know some really good gamblers. They do a lot of math. So maybe they're informed speculators too. We got to all be honest about this. So then once we're honest about the fact that we are informed speculators, then you say, okay, well, what are some ways that I can be better at what I'm doing? One, you have to be logical and pragmatic in your thinking. You can't be given to fits of whimsy and tomfoolery and nonsense, which we're going to talk about in a little bit when we talk about this Fed paper. So we talked yesterday about the Minneapolis Fed and their stupid ass paper, which was in contradiction to a paper they had written previously. And their main argument was, oh, well, people that were in early, they have a wealth effect. They're going to be exiting. And the people that are here lately, Johnny come latelys, they're going to have to pay more. They don't get the same wealth effect. It's robbing those resources. To which we declared appropriately, bullshit. That's not common sense. That's not logical, because you can use that for any asset. Hey, how come I'm not getting gold at $3 an ounce? Because it hasn't cost that in 190 years, dummy. Oh, that's not fair. People are selling gold at 2,700, but I didn't get any of that $3 gold. No shit. Like, there is an opportunity cost to being early. There's risks to being early. They took those risks. They get to win. Period. A lot of people in early Bitcoin got lucky. That's what this really is about. This anger and ire, it's a bunch of poor, foolish economists that never made a good financial decision in their life. I can't say never. It's unlikely that they ever made a good financial decision in their life. All they do is talk about the way the world works. There's no actual doing. And since there's no actual doing, then they watch while other people get enriched for taking risks. So other people take risks. Sometimes, mostly they lose, and sometimes they win. There are, you guys see these stories on the news about, oh, well, there's somebody made $2 million trading meme coins. Yes, but there's like 26,000 meme coins that launch a day. It's like ungodly ridiculous. The only one winning is Pump.Fund that's collecting fees. No one's winning. You hear one or two stories. Oh, this guy made it 100x in a day. Yeah, and everyone else lost money. And oh, by the way, he can't even exit, he, she, or they, because there's no liquidity, because of 26,000 freaking coins a day. So when you got to keep things relative, and you have to make logical and pragmatic arguments to yourself. And if you do those things, you have a better chance in this speculation that we do. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I would think that would make sense. We make educated speculations, but at the same time, knowing in crypto, there is no guarantees. Yes, very well said, Michael. Very well said. Let's see. Okay. How long will the twins sell off and its impact last? So think about it. If you have people that bought the token at 1 or 2 cents, again, not us, because we locked all of our stuff up, but people like certain groups that bought the tokens for 1 or 2 cents. Today, they got some percentage of their tokens. I don't know, 6, 8. I don't know what the percentage is for each group, because I don't know what those private agreements were, but whatever they were, 6 or 8% of their total stash. If they bought it, let's say they bought it at 2 cents and it's at 6 or 8 cents. What is it? At 8 cents? Say 8 cents. That's a 4X. A lot of them are going to dump their shit until it's gone, until that first 6% is gone. They have probably little or no intention. Okay, so 6%. So there we go. So Cryptopia got 6%. And you know what? I don't blame them for selling. This is another thing. Don't take my kind of snarky demeanor. I don't blame anyone at Cryptopia for selling. You know why? Because they funded that company. And if you put your money out funding a company in the seed or early round, you deserve to get an exit. Who cares? You want to exit? Exit. You want to build a twin? Build a twin. Good for you. You helped get that company. There is no twin protocol without the early investors. Now we can armchair quarterback. Oh man, this sucks. Not fair. They got in early. They got in early because they risked early. Most people here would not have done that. would not have gotten in that early. They just wouldn't have risked it. So good on them. They want to exit. I don't give a shit. But exit and go away so that we can see what the actual market price is. Then you have the second tier, these launchpad people. They bought the token between 6 and 7 cents. They got some percentage, maybe 6, maybe 8%. I don't know what the percentage is they got at the launch pads, maybe more. Whatever they got, well, if the price is substantively higher, they're going to sell. So my guess is the token's going to languish around here sloppily until that early batch of sellers is done selling or has decided now ain't the time. Okay? You're in at 10, right? So you wouldn't be motivated to sell for 8 cents. Wouldn't make sense. Also, I believe that some of the people that participated actually do want to build a digital twin. To me, that makes a lot of sense. I want to build a twin because I want to put some bitch out there and have him work for me. I'll make that sucker work. And now with Microsoft releasing the AI agents, isn't it funny? The things that Microsoft is doing or the things that Fetch said they were going to do, they've been saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You ain't doing nothing. Microsoft is doing all. So it's like, God. So what will they say now? I guess they're going to have to rebrand. I guess there needs to be a rebranding over at ASI because Microsoft just basically did everything they said. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Let me light a candle rather than curse the darkness. So, no, it's not a slave. It's a worker bee. It's a worker bee is all. It's a worker me is all. So anyway, there. I want a twin, so I'm going to build it. Now, if I looked 2 years from now when I get my tokens, I mean, I'll get some tokens. We get some interest. Basically, it's like we're in a pool. We get paid some little rewards. I'll take those rewards. They will first go to building my twin. And I'm going to get every goddamn attachment, plug-in, this, that thing. My twin's going to be so damn smart. My twin's going to be way smarter than me. I'm going to have every effing thing you can get. Every enhancement, plug-in. I'm leveling that son of a bitch up. Just like I do like with when I play Population 1. Dude, I get all my shield sodas. I get my power-up cans. I get as high of a rating of AK-47 as I can, and I hit them streets. And I look for some skulls. I get my power-ups. So I'm going to power up my twin as much as I can. So there you go. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't take too much out of the first 10 days of this trading. I think, but I don't know, but I think it's going to be between 2,500 and 5,000 twin tokens is the amount to kind of like start your twin, like to secure your vault, your twin ID, all that. I don't know how all that works, but that's the terms that's in my mind. I don't know where that comes from, but I think that's maybe close to the range of what it will take. So a certain amount of these tokens will probably leave circulation. You'll also have people that early sell the tokens, and then they discover later on, oh, twins are pretty cool. Like I might want to build one. Or they bring on some big celebrity. You're like, dang, if this person's doing it, I've got to do it. Or whatever. There's a whole bunch of reasons why people might be converted to want to build them. And then that will be kind of one way with the token. So, we'll see. I like this kind of launch. I like the DEX launch versus a centralized exchange launch because, no one on a centralized exchange gives two cold shits about the project. It's straight gambling. And you can see that every day by all the people that get just completely obliterated by taking on stupid ass leverage all around Bitcoin all day long. This will never change. There's a certain amount of people, which is the higher percentage, which will perpetually lose over and over all the time, never winning anything substantive. And then there's a small group of veterans that hoover up all their cash. There you go. you know what? I don't have any Loki rants. He's been so good. He all of a sudden, so when they finished, I had a fence built. When I first got my place, there was just kind of this chain link fence, and that's not, no one wants a damn chain link fence. What do I live in Compton? And actually they've gentrified Compton, so I'd have to come up with a different place. But anyway, so I put a big composite fence, just clean things up. And it took like 3 weeks. Guys did a really good job. It was tough. So as they were doing that, the cats were kind of inside and like they were doing some things. They're tearing up some things and doing some things. But I am much happier now that when they were done with the fence, kitties get to go outside. They're having fun again. They are using the litter box. No more couch poopings. None of that kind of stuff. So I got nothing to say other than he eats. He's up to between like 9 and 10 cans of food a day. Like cans every day. Cans every single day. Which is a lot. It's more than I eat. Like I can't eat what he eats. So he's growing. He's getting big. Well, then I don't want to go to Northeast Kansas. Do I think this is the right time for them to launch Twin? No, I think they should have launched Twin when the Bitcoin ETFs launched. I think they then should have launched Twin. When they didn't do that, they should have launched it at the halving. I think they should have then launched at the Ethereum ETF. But now is the fourth best time. It's the fourth best time. So there we go. Fourth best time. Fourth best time. That's not a thing. This is fine. I mean, we're going into people here who haven't experienced a bull market. Like many of you have only been around the last year or so, year and a half. You've only experienced a bear market. You've had a couple of assets pop because of some good research, I think. And, you guys did your homework. But for the most part, none of you have really seen a bull market. And the bull market in 2021 and 22 was a fake one. It was a transfer payments stupid market. It was a supply shock stupid market caused by perverse government behavior, and an even more perverse response to, a cold. But whatever. It's neither here nor there. So we got this perverse, weird government kind of activity all around the world, which created huge supply imbalances, not enough supply, a lot of extra demand because of transfer payments to people's pockets that they did not deserve or should not have had. Some people, yes, everybody know. A lot of people took advantage of that. And you saw everything spike because everybody had money they shouldn't have had, right? Because if it was true stimulus and transfer payments simply to replace lost currency units, there wouldn't have been a supply shock, an over demand on assets, right? If you have 10 eggs and 10 people and everybody wants 1 egg a day and they can all afford 1 egg a day, then nothing changes. If people lose their jobs and you give them all enough money for 1 egg a day, the prices would stay the same. If you give everybody enough money for 6 eggs a day and they're not working at all, you're going to get a supply shock like we saw, and it's going to run its course. And then it's going to take time for it to heal on the other side. And these things go up and then they reverberate until they heal. And it takes a while. And don't worry, we'll get into the next supply shock before this one's even resolved. And so you look to places like money markets, like you look to the yield curve for information, and you look to see what money dealers are doing, what banks are doing, the actual central banks, which are banks, not the fake central banks, which are central banks. And the fake central bank, which is the Fed, which isn't even a central bank, because they don't even deal in money. And so you realize these are all people looking at dated old information with the long and variable lag in their decision making. They're looking at stuff and reacting after the fact. So you have the incident, you have the reaction, you have the market behavior, you have the reaction to the behavior, and you have policy, whether it's monetary policy, which is fakeatary policy, no, instead of monetary, nonetary policy or fiscal policy. No one gets elected for cutting spending and raising taxes. They mostly get elected for cutting taxes and raising spending, pay some more people to dig some ditches, pay some extra people to go fill those ditches in, that GDP up. Okay, so if you look at this system, it creates a lot of bloat and weirdness, always. And people are like, oh my God, look at this national debt. It's getting out of control. Yes, but it doesn't mean they can't keep doing this forever, or at least for a long time, because no one cares. It's the same thing that USDT is a complete sham and no one cares. There's not much money behind USDT. It is completely fucking fake. No one cares. US dollar's fake. No one cares because it's the best fake currency in the world alongside all the other fake currencies. So, what are you going to do? So people waiting for the Great Reset, ain't no Great Reset, bro. It's a slow burn. It's a slow melt. That's why the frogs don't leave the pot. So there we go. Let me see, Kirill. Started watching third week of November 2021 during the, oh man, nice. Yeah, so you're one of the old school. Yeah, Eric, man, what's going on with Eric? I never really could get Eric to invest in crypto. He just wasn't into it. Oh, God, if he had just, but Kirill, did you get into Fetch and AGIX back when it was around a dime? Are you one of that group? Because that's going to be a year, 2 years and change prior to the run up of GPT. So I'm guessing you had an early run at it. Good for you. You don't have to say whether you did or didn't. Anyway, okay. So the point of all this is to realize that you try to use as much information as you can so that our speculations are a little bit closer. Ooh, that's a good purchase. You happy as hell. So Frank, you got a 20x out of that. That's not horrible. No, Tether holds 98 billion US bonds. Yeah, it is scary because they have a legalized counterfeiting machine and they can buy whatever they want. So now you say, wait, they're supporting, what is that? Like 1% of the treasury market is supported by a counterfeiting operation run by people offshore that have never been audited ever. You know that, right? Ever. Tether has never been fully audited ever. It's all bullshit. Doesn't matter. No one cares because they can print Tether out of thin air. Well, click it into existence and they can go and purchase. What do they purchase? Real stuff. They purchase real stuff. And everyone's okay with this. And I guess, so what? So what? My point is no one cares. No one cares that most of these banks are probably technically insolvent or at least illiquid. No one cares that they've got maturity mismatches all over their balance sheet. No one cares that they're poorly stress tested, at least right now, and they're not properly capitalized. No one gives a shit. Everyone knows if anything happens, there'll be a bailout. Who gets hammered? You do. If you hold US dollars, because the money's got to come from somewhere. It's not coming from taxes. So how do you get it? You just kind of create it into thin air. You're like, well, why would people keep buying US debt? Because there's nowhere else to go. People want safety and they want liquid assets. And if you want safe assets, what does Jeff Snyder say? Safe liquid instruments. If you want those safe liquid instruments, where are you going to go? Chinese debt, Russian debt. You can take a risk on some Argentinian debt before it flips, before it completely resets every 6 years or whatever. Like they time it into the price of the debt. So you go to the treasury market and you buy assets, bills, notes, or bonds in the treasury market. You buy US debt, which what does that do? That allows the government to continue doing the same bullshit it's done unabated indefinitely. So, man, there you go. All right. Yeah. Well, XRP at least was honest in the beginning. They created the tokens. The thing that's sketchy about XRP is not the creation of the tokens. It's what Chris Grand Larceny, who, by the way, just gave another 10 million to Kamala. I don't know why the XRP army loves this guy. The guy's a piece of shit. They gave themselves billions of tokens each. Him, Brad Garlinghouse, Jeb and Caleb, go down the list. They gave themselves tokens. This didn't even go through the investors. The investors in Ripple, they didn't even get any of these tokens. They're like, no, the rest of the tokens, the ones that we don't sell and put money in our pocket, the rest of the tokens are going to go. So these guys are like, oh, these guys are all billionaires. They're billionaires because they sold tokens to a bunch of ignorant XRP investors. And then while they were doing that at this price, they sold to institutional investors with no lockups at this price. Guess what those guys did? They had no lockups. So they flipped it right back on the market and exited on the XRP investors. Again, now these pieces of shit, Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Grand Larceny, are fucking going and supporting anti-crypto regimes. It's so incredibly embarrassing. If there ain't no XRP army anymore, I guess this is as close to a rant as I can get, Barry. Good one. You knocked this one out of the park. There's no XRP army. It's maybe the XRP Salvation Army, because there's not a fucking backbone in that entire community anymore. They all broke fucking weak. The fact that they're not just tearing the fucking walls down when they hear this stuff it's mind-boggling. Like it's crazy. Anyway, good for them. And as they're waiting for the great reset, where there's 26 dudes driving their little John Deere tractors around, their little rural and provincial, like, okay, well, good luck on the great reset, bro. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave this one. I might nuke it for the public, but I'm going to leave it, obviously, for the digital investors. I'm going to leave it. Oh, man, a lot going on. I mean, this is a fun time to be in crypto now. Think of all the cool stuff that's happening. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, man. Right? Like, hey, we got this little launch. Maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it is. But I think this is going to be a good project that's going to grow over time. But I think there's a lot of good projects that are going to grow over time. And there's a lot of bad projects that are going to grow over time. I'm going to take a real quick look at markets just for un momentito. And then we're going to go, and I got to talk about these papers. This, man, we got to talk about, let's just look at markets real quick for like 2 minutes. And then we got to talk about this ECB paper that mirrors this Minneapolis Fed. And hold on, it did its weird thing again. Let me go here. I don't know why it resets me on this all the time. It hates me. Maybe it's because I use it on 2 different computers. I don't know. Let's see. Let me go to my layout for Digital Investor. What? See, I don't know why it also doesn't default to that, because I have the thing where it says, remember me in the future. Remember me. Okay, cool. So let me pull this little tag off here. We know what we're about to talk about. Okay, so real quick, what's going on here? The corn sitting around 67. This is good. Full green sheet. Oddly, the Doge's got a green sheet. Aptos, dude, Aptos is kicking dicks. That thing was over $11 earlier. I feel like it's gonna break out. It just edged out Sui's market cap. Sui had a bit of a sell-off. So if you're still building a Sui position, and again, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. These are very low, to me, they are low likelihood, high risk investments, but they're layer ones, and they have the same scammy people involved that were involved in Solana. And if you can take the piece of garbage that is Solana and turn that into a major project, which they've done with a lot of money, which they've done, most of it idiots, yes, doesn't matter. Number went way up. So that's the old thing. Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? So I think these are crap projects, but they're layer ones. They have the right people to push them. They have the right kind of marketing presence. they'll probably spam this shit way up. I would say, anyway, I'm just saying the way I look at it is these are tiny positions you would keep. You would scrape profit on a pretty regular basis, but either one of them could do a 10x. From here, just looking at their market cap, I look and I say, could these have 50 billion market cap in a bull run? Sure they could. Could Cardano? Maybe there's a 3x in it. I'd say 50 billion for these layer ones. That's possible. But anyway, Aptos, good day. Everything else kind of subdued, kind of quiet. Jupiter, interesting to see Jupiter approaching $1 even after the outlay of tokens, but those tokens are locked up. So that's kind of interesting. So that turned out for everybody, probably turned out to be a good little airdrop just for participating. Well, reward, staking, whatever you want to call it. Everything else is pretty quiet. I guess I say this. I hope that Bitcoin is not at an all-time high going into the election. We don't have a lot of time left. What are we, 2 weeks? It would be cool to see all-time high, but I worry if it's an all-time high, if that's going to make it even more erratic during the election, which I think it will. It's already going to be a damn seesaw. People are going to be all over the place, going to get nuts. As we get closer, and if it looks more likely that Trump is going to win, Bitcoin's going to melt up. But I think there's going to be a lot of people jumping to the sidelines. There's going to be some consolidation. This is just my gut feeling. I think a lot of people may sell right before the election and dip the price down 62 to 65 range, just saying, I don't want to be in this thing for this election. So whatever the price is going into the election, if it's close, I would expect a pretty sizable dip. And then as the states come in, the big states, Bitcoin's going to be crazy. That's going to be a hell of a 24-hour period, man. And then there'll be a point where it'll be a foregone conclusion. We'll know what the outcome of the election is. And once that's happened, then that's it. Then that's that. So we get what we get. Okay, let's switch gears and talk. Everybody, I mean, you guys got to all make your own game plan. Yes, there's Bitcoin options now. I don't know when those initiate, but it is coming. So that's kind of cool. Okay, let's switch gears for a bit. We got to talk about this article, man. We got to talk about this article, and then we got to dig. I want to talk about the article, and then I'm going to fucking dismantle it. Okay? You guys got that?
Hello. You're late.
What? Get back.
You're bad at math, but I'm giving you an A+ in confidence.
Just doing what I gotta do.
Extra credit.
Okay, so let me talk about this. So essentially, I read this article in the Daily Huddle that's called True Declaration of War. Bitcoin veteran says gloves are off after the ECB publishes a paper attacking Bitcoin. There's a research document from the ECB claiming that Bitcoin has strayed from the original vision of Satoshi Nakamoto in its pseudo-anonymous creator, and now exists to extract value from latecomers and non-holders. It's just to extract value. The authors of the ECB paper urge the general public to call on politicians to pass laws that force BTC to disappear, or they could simply just not buy it, right? Like, you just not buy it. It's not fair that Bitcoin's expensive. Don't buy it. It's extracting value from who? I wasn't early. No, you weren't. I didn't believe in it. No, you didn't. No, I don't feel alive. I want money. Well, go earn it, bitch. It's so stupid. The argument is so stupid. It's mind-numbing, but we're going to cover it. So this guy seems to think this is a very aggressive paper coming from the authorities at the ECB. By the way, has anybody here ever read any other ECB research papers? I'm going to bet you haven't. And I'm going to bet that, no one else has either. So anyway, he says the gloves are off. Central bank economists now see Bitcoin as an existential threat to be attacked by any means possible. And on this day, no one cares. No one gives a shit about ECB research papers. No one, not even other people in the ECB. Like, they just don't care, man. But anyway, we're going to attack it because this kind of logic is a flawed kind of logic that floats around. So we want to deal with it. But essentially, the ECB is asking the public to advocate for laws against Bitcoin, claiming that every time Bitcoin rallies, it financially drains the rest of society. I mean, everybody in society loses when Bitcoin goes up. You guys know that. Same thing as gold, right? When gold goes up, everyone you know loses money. They check their account. They just lost money. Hey, gold's up, Grandma. That's weird. I lost money in my bank account because of the gold and the Bitcoin. Yeah, you did. You're poorer now. You've been drained. Drains the rest of society. So in this research paper, they said that that Bitcoin has strayed from its vision, which was to give the world a superior way of making digital payments. Now, this promise has not been achieved. Instead, the focus has increasingly shifted to Bitcoin as an investment asset, promising high capital gains. Oh, that's weird. Isn't that every single equity in every single equity market on Earth? Weird. Okay. So as they say, since Bitcoin does not increase the productive potential, you're noticing something similar? This is very similar to the argument that the Minneapolis Fed made after they argued actually the other direction in 1996. So it doesn't increase the productive potential of the economy. Never mind that people that sell Bitcoin have more money and they go out and buy stuff in society. That they don't factor that part of it. So the buying from the people that made money in Bitcoin, that doesn't count. This is just the new people buying Bitcoin from the people that originally had Bitcoin. That's where the damage is, and everyone, including Grandma, loses. So the consequences of the assumed continued increase in value are essentially redistributive, i.e., the wealth effects on consumption of early Bitcoin holders can only come at the expense of consumption of the rest of society. So if people make money on any investment and they ever sell it for a profit, that comes at the expense of the rest of society. Everyone loses. You guys see this kind of spammy ass, bullshitty, I came late, I'm entitled to win even though I've done nothing kind of attitude? It has permeated the whole planet. The whole planet. Oh, I deserve to win. You don't deserve shit. You deserve what you go and earn. You eat what you kill. Otherwise, fucking stay poor. I'm going to stay on the sidelines. Then be fucking poor on the sideline. It's so crazy. Anyway, the authors of the ECB paper argue that Bitcoin exists to extract value. That's why it exists from latecomers and non-holders. For this reason, they urge the general public to convince politicians to pass legislation that forces Bitcoin to either disappear or raise taxes. Oh, got it. That's it. You nailed it. Loser's logic, participation trophy. It's so funny. What is it? Well, that's from the book called Things That Poor People Say. So let's talk. Let's spend about 5 minutes. It's worth discussing. So in this ECB research paper, essentially the critique is that Bitcoin, they want it to disappear or be taxed into obsolescence. It argues that Bitcoin has deviated from the original vision, does not contribute to the productive potential of the economy, nor does any investment asset, because that's what they are, equities, and ultimately impoverishes non-holders and latecomers. Right. Impoverishes them. People selling Bitcoin impoverishes everyone else. What a weird logic. So let's dissect these claims, because you're going to hear this kind of absurdity and backwards ass thinking. You're going to hear it in everybody that didn't get involved. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people that missed it or didn't get involved in these assets. This is what they say. It's bullshit. It's used for criminals. It's expensive and a bunch of rich people that don't deserve it. Yeah, well, they took the risk. So essentially, decentralization over payments. So the original white paper focused Satoshi's 2008, so it was October 2008, titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, emphasized a decentralized network to enable online payments without relying on financial institutions, to disintermediate without intermediaries. Okay. And this misinterpretation by the ECB. So the ECB claims it was meant solely as a superior payment method. Any technology is going to be used by people for its greatest use case. And you might not know what the use case is when it starts, right? People will use a thing, and when they use the thing, you will see a use case or many use cases. So the fact that the ECB claims that based on the title of the Bitcoin white paper, that everything has just been, perverted to the crazy. It ignores the foundation. So the use case of Bitcoin doesn't ignore the foundational goals. It creates a pathway, a secure ledger, decentralized pathway. And sometimes that might lead to financial sovereignty, and sometimes that might lead to wealth, and sometimes it's just to move data around and stupid little JPEGs and shit like that. You don't know until people start doing. Anyway, then there's the store of value versus medium of exchange article. Bitcoin's use case has kind of evolved, where initially it was proposed as this medium of exchange, right? Which it is, but Bitcoin has become this store of value, simple, kind of digital gold, right? Like that's a good argument for it now. It's kind of digital gold. And again, while it doesn't track gold exactly, and while it doesn't track inflation and debasement exactly, over time, it outperforms both. So you could say it's a store of value-ish. Sure, that's different than Satoshi's white paper before the thing even existed. Yes, that is different because, again, things are used the way innovative people use them. And if they believe in them, there's a hoarding effect. And if there's a hoarding effect, the price goes up. That is the most basic small e economics that there is. Anyway, this change in Bitcoin is a sign of innovation, not failure. It's innovated into this other asset. You say, okay, well, let's talk about the ECB mentions the Bitcoin's lack of contribution to economic productivity. So you could say that innovation drives productivity, right? So blockchain technology, which, Bitcoin introduced this idea of a blockchain, a chain of blocks, each block having a certain amount of data that's everyone records on this distributed ledger, and everybody sees in real time all the way back to the very beginning. And it prevents replay attacks and double spending attacks and things like this. And it solved a lot of problems in computer science. So it's a pretty groundbreaking technology, I would say, with applications that could be across all sorts of industries, and it enhances transparency and efficiency. And that's why governments don't fucking like it. That's why a lot of people don't like it, right? Like, do you want to put your private banking records out there for everyone to see every transaction you've ever made? Some people don't like that. Banks don't like that. Banks also don't like the part that you don't have to trust them with your stuff. They don't like the idea that you can do transactions that don't need them, because then they can't take your shit and lend against it, or literally lend it out. So then there's this idea about financial inclusion. So Bitcoin provides access to financial services for a huge group of unbanked and marginally banked people that have been left behind, and there was no attempt to bring them back into the world of finance at all. Just left behind. Sorry, you live out in the woods. Fuck you. Well, now people with a cell phone can participate, and they can have their finances on their phone. This increases economic activity, not the reverse. So the ECB just ignores that completely. You look at challenging these traditional metrics of, what is value creation? The ECB's traditional metrics, which again, this is the European Central Bank. They may not necessarily capture the value created by decentralized networks and digital assets that don't need a central bank. Because you have this new class of intangible assets. So in this digital world that we live in, not all productive potential is tangible. It's not always an orange that you can eat, right? Data and networks hold immense value. Think about the value of data in these large language models, large multimodal models, and all these new AI-based systems as we approach AGI. You don't think data is a commodity? Sheesh. You don't think the networks have immense value? Go talk to the people that started AWS. You don't think there's any money over there? You don't think that has any value? The ECB would say no. That's not really. There's no value there. It's just a bunch of servers. There's no actual value there. Why would people even pay for that? So then they go with the wealth redistribution and consumption arguments. So the early adopters, they're just kind of ignored, and the risks and rewards they took don't count. Their early adoption has no merit. So early adopters of any technology take on huge and significant risk. And if it succeeds, they succeed, right? If the technology succeeds, they succeed. But they risked everything, and it could go to zero, right? And so gains are not zero sum, meaning like wealth creation can occur without impoverishing everyone else. When you sell a Bitcoin, it doesn't impoverish grandma in sub-Saharan Africa. It's not like she gets poorer because you get to buy a Lambo. I'm not saying everyone should buy a Lambo. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying you do you. But my point is that wealth creation throughout history doesn't impoverish other people. Again, it's just like Lisa said, this is loser logic. This entire ECB paper is loser logic. It's have fun staying poor logic. It's please pity me because I don't take chances in life logic. Gains are not zero sum. Because another person is enriched doesn't mean you lose. No one's pulling money out of your pocket. People selling an asset that they bought for $1, selling it at $10 doesn't make you poor. That's just not how, math works. And there's a lot of economic misconceptions around this. So this assertion that Bitcoin's price appreciation harms non-holders, it kind of overlooks the fact that market investments inherently involve risk and choice. It's to say, oh, there was no risk involved. They never made the choice. How many people do you guys know? How many people do you know that said, oh, I was gonna buy Bitcoin. I was gonna, oh man, I should have. No, you shouldn't have because you didn't. I was gonna. No, you didn't. You weren't, or you woulda. I was gonna buy Bitcoin. I had someone tell me that, oh, I was gonna buy like $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, but I couldn't get the thing to work. And then, oh, really? So you were willing to buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, but you couldn't get the thing to work. What was the thing? The internet was not working. Was there a problem with internet? You just gave up on it. Oh, I guess I'll not spend $10,000. Bullshit. I much more believe the guy that was like, yeah, I was gonna buy like $20 worth. I just didn't do it. 10,000. Please, bitch. You ain't doing nothing. You ain't about nothing. You ain't about shit. That's just a story you tell yourself to feel like, oh, oh man. No, you didn't vicariously participate. You did nothing. You get nothing. It is what it is. Yeah, I wish I would have. There's all the wish I would have. I wish I would have. Yeah, I know. You wish you would have picked the lottery numbers last week, but you didn't. You didn't. Oh, God. Anyway, increased wealth for holders of early assets, and Bitcoin or anything else. It could be gold. They lead to more investment and more consumption, which benefits the economy. It's not the other way around, right? If someone makes currency units because of an investment that they risked and chose to invest in when no one else would, or very few other people would, and then they make a boon, they make a bunch of cash, and they go and spend it. I'd love to see the ECB explain how that punishes anyone. Oh, well, the people buying it are buying it for a higher price because they see value in it. So if they see value in it, they're not punished. Those currency units are going to be redistributed into society. I don't think anyone in society is unhappy. I don't think house builders, car salesmen, or people that sell food are unhappy. Like, I can't believe these people that sell Bitcoin come and buy Ferraris from our dealership. It really pisses us off. We just think this is a bullshit wealth effect. We'd rather not sell cars. What? Come on, bro. Bitcoin is accessible to anyone with the fucking internet. Period. That's it. And it offers opportunities regardless of your geography, your socioeconomic status, your educational level, right? Which typically have been these lines, these walls that, you know, there are a lot of people in the world that are quite nasty, and they would love it if half of the planet was unbanked or marginally banked. They would love it. They built a system that a predatory system based on it, right? They're not big fans of everyone having some socioeconomic status, regardless of age, race, gender, geography. You want to buy some corn? Get you some corn. You got a phone? Get you some, or don't. Makes no difference, but you have a choice. And unlike traditional assets, you can buy 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. You can buy Satoshis. You can buy tiny, tiny, tiny little bits. So tiny that you have to cut a penny up into 100,000 little pieces just to get the right size. Bitcoin can be owned in fractions, which lowers the barrier to entry to the cost of a transaction. That's it. That's the barrier to entry. Simply the cost of a Bitcoin transaction. And so the onus then becomes on the individuals to educate themselves about investments. And if they want to invest in or participate in these digital assets, they have the choice. Same thing with gold, same thing with equities. Oh, except with equities, you can't just jump in and invest. You have to set up all these accounts and all this kind of stuff. You don't own your shit. You have to go through these third parties. Okay, weird. Oh, and except for opening a bank account, you can't just go open a bank account. You might not have the right documentation. You might have a fucking credit score. Like, oh, weird. So barriers. Over here, no barriers. Oh, I don't know. Oh, it seems sketchy to me. So labeling latecomers as a victim, it undermines this whole idea of personal agency. You can make your own choices. Yeah, but I chose not to. Well, now, okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. You drove into oncoming traffic last week. That too was stupid. I don't know what to tell you. You make bad decisions, there's likely going to be bad outcomes. You make good decisions, there's likely going to be good outcomes. It is what it is. Just because you're late to the party doesn't mean you deserve to have been early to the party. That makes no goddamn sense. Take some fucking personal responsibility, personal agency. So, and again, of course, this makes sense coming out of Europe where it's everyone deserves everything. It's no one's fault. You know, just the world it's just tough. And here's some stuff for free. Go take it. Right. So the more clear regulations get, the more it helps protect consumers without stifling innovation and allowing a more clear choice to be made. But guess what? As regulations become clear and the decision becomes more obvious, more people come into the game. And as more people come into the game, likely that's going to increase the value of these kinds of assets. And guess what? You're going to enrich people that bought way early. But that doesn't make you poor. It doesn't make you a victim. If you decide to buy this or that, you're not a victim of this or that. You've made a choice because you think there's more value in it. So it's nonsensically farcical, these arguments that the ECB has made. And of course, anybody reading this, well, you would think anybody reading this, they would look and with a little bit of examination, they would say, this is just a weird reluctance to embrace a technology that makes you look stupid. This is every kind of weird argument to every simple person out there so that you can all agree. Don't you all agree that this is bad? And then in parentheses, well, it's bad because we lose control over all of these poor people that we've been stepping on since time began, right? Since there were organized bodies of money, we've been stepping on people right on their fucking necks the entire time. Well, when they don't need us, it's like they're taking our boot off of their neck. We don't want that. That's sketchy. You can't trust people to make their own decisions with their own currency units. They need us in the middle, deciding who can participate, who can't, and what they can do. I can't imagine a system where people make their own decisions. Please, man. So this idea that they're going to force Bitcoin to disappear ignores this idea that, consumers and investors, they actually have choices they can make. And this idea that they will drive the market underground, making regulation and oversight more difficult. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe we'd have all been better off without all this regulation. Hard to say. Then they would argue we need more regulation. So it's, anyway, this mindset is a pretty dangerous argument that can be applied to every single investment in all of history. Every investment, all of history, right? So you could say that for any emerging technology, anybody that invested early or entered early is enriching themselves by punishing the victims. That's why all the idiots in the XRP community that keep buying XRP while Brad and Chris sell at discounts to douchebags that sell against you, you get what you get. You fucking deserve all of it. If you want to make them rich, you go ahead and make them rich. I'm not even a hater. Look, Brad and Chris, good for you guys. You guys are scumbags, fucking assholes, but so what? I don't think what you did is illegal. It's amoral, but it's not illegal. And if you have a bunch of compliant dummies, okay, cool. People make decisions, man. People make decisions. Anyway, I think we've kind of attacked the silly merits of the ECB paper, which are also the same, similarly, the same silly merits of the Minneapolis paper. You're going to see versions of this kind of argument and perversions and loose, sloppier, more generalized. I'm late. It ain't fair. I wish I would have. It's, I deserve entitled, very basic, low intellect arguments for stuff like this and other stuff moving forward. But especially in Bitcoin, for the many of you that are, Bitcoin specifically, you're going to hear it. On my license plate, right beneath like the weird letters and stuff, it just says, because Bitcoin. It's the only way I can do this to everyone I know every time I drive, to that group, to that group of people that I deserve, I'm entitled, that fucking group. Fuck you. There. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to probably cut this video, but we'll leave it for the digital investors. Anyway, there you go. So we got like 2 or 3 rants today. This is a good rant day. We ranted like a mofo. Anyway, stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do the thing my poor insolvent drunk strung on a meth grandmother who will definitely con you out of all your shit. Wouldn't do. It's very little. We'll see you tomorrow. Brandon will be back. We will rock and roll. We will probably do, we'll have Brandon do a deep dive into what he thought was some interesting or less interesting day one behavior for Twin. Remember that on November 21st, for those of you that have in Twin tokens, you'll be able to swap those for Twin tokens. That's kind of cool. We also have Libra coming. We also, there's an election in between. We've got a lot of stuff going on. This is going to be a crazy next couple of months. Crazy. And I think it will lead into a bull market. We're not there yet, but things I think are looking good. So we will see you on the morrow.
If you're an accredited investor and you want in on angel, seed round, or early round equity and token opportunities in the artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency space, schedule an interview at nickblacknext.com. In life, you can either be really good, really lucky, or just be first. Being first is so much easier. Schedule a digital private client interview today at nickblacknext.com.
Use that thing right there, the calendar. Use the calendar. That's how you do it.